So, okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Who do you pick, DMX or Tupac, and why?
DMX because in my coming of age years, that's when DMX was at the top of his game. So I was able to personally experience X effect. Tupac was always kind of like the past. I mean, I was young when he passed away, so
Yeah.
I didn't really get a chance to like grow up with his music. Now, I did listen to a lot of his stuff after the fact, and I have a very like a huge appreciation for Tupac and everything that he represented. But DMX was like I
Yeah.
was outside. X was doing what he was doing. So it resonates with me a little bit better. So yeah, I'm gonna pick X on
Yeah.
that one.
Exclusive interviews, global voices, real stories.
So on the Worldwide Entertainment TV broadcast today, we got Marlo G. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. Blessed, feeling good. You know what I'm saying? How are you?
I'm doing good. Did you hear
Good.
about that news with the actor Robert Redford passing this morning?
Yes, I did. I did. I caught it in
Yeah.
my emails. It seems like you're losing a lot of legends, man.
I know. They've been dropping this year.
Yeah, crazy.
So
I mean, it's a part of life. People are gonna die
that's
eventually.
true.
And it's always sad. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Somebody that you known or somebody you kind of watched growing up or whatever. It is a part of life though.
that's true. So, like, Robert Redford spent his life telling stories on screen that captured real human experiences. As someone who defends your music as soul rap, how do you see hip hop carrying that same tradition of storytelling?
I think hip hop has always been an avenue to tell stories. It's kind of been like
Yeah,
a to like let people into the experiences of like black people or any person that kind of grows up in that environment. There's always had that storytelling element to it. I think as the years went, it went more so from telling stories of like reality to telling stories of kind of like fantasy. And we're stuck in this weird
yeah,
space where people are trying to like mix the two to try to make your reality seem more, like extravagant than what it might actually be. I mean, it's all storytelling, I guess, but it's just
uh,
its ability to be like authentic. And I think that's kind of where I like to like, plant my flag, for lack of a better term. It's just being authentic, and telling stories and of overcoming and what I'm saying, just kind of like the regular everyday guy, like the regular everyday life. Because a lot of those people, although it's nice to hear, things that are aspirational, like the fancy cars and, all the money and all the trips and stuff like that, sometimes it could get a little delusional because it's not based in the listener's
yeah,
reality. So I like to, present people with just like a different perspective, you know what I'm saying? Or just like a different avenue to cope and deal with the struggles of everyday life that sometimes you might think that these celebrities don't necessarily go through, So that's why I just try to keep it, as close to reality as possible, as authentic to my life as possible, and then just share stories that I feel like can help people that are in similar situations.
okay, because it's crazy that you brought this up because it's twofold. I was gonna ask one thing and you answered it at the same time, but then what you just said also was something I saw last night online. So I was gonna say Robert Redford liked to play characters that showed vulnerability, but they were strong. And what you're saying right now, showing just one side of the extravagant stuff. I seen someone leave a comment under a Tupac interview while he was in jail, and he was speaking about to peep the lyrics, not just to bob your head, about keeping things like real life as well as giving people party and that lifestyle of, what you were just speaking of, but also the reality, what everyone's going through. So do you think, Do you think that's important to have? And I know I listen to some of your music that you have some of that kind of vibe in your lyrics.
Absolutely. And just from like a personal standpoint, those like rappers that or musicians in general, because it's not just rap music, it kind of transcends all genre, but any kind of artist or musician that can give you a piece of themselves, like a real snapshot of like where they are as a person in life at the moment that they're creating, whether it be like a song or, like a movie or anything like that. Um, like those type of things resonate with me because, it's good to dream and, aspire to stuff and have goals and all that stuff. That's very important. Very, very important. And it's always good to like visualize what it is that you want to accomplish so that you can see the steps necessary. But I think people focus on two things, where you are and where you want to be, but not what it takes to get there. And I feel like a lot of times people miss out on getting to where they want to be because they're not prepared for the steps that come in between. And it sounds super complicated, but basically what I'm saying is that I appreciate music that just kind of talks about that middle ground, like the struggle, something you maybe not have overcome, challenges that are going to come your way, or just like, I don't want to call it mundane because it's not, but things that might not seem as important to talk about. So the point I'm trying to get across is a lot of times when I listen to music, I hear people talk about like the finish line or where they picture themselves being. So, accomplishing a certain amount of things, like hitting certain numbers, having certain possessions, being able to travel certain places, do certain things, just that lifestyle. Or they'll talk about, hey, this is where I came from. I didn't have this. I had to do this to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like these are the type of people I grew up around. But I'm always trying to figure out like, well,
Yeah,
what happened between day one when you realize, okay, I got to get up out of this situation and day 100 when you're where you want to be? Like, what's that road? What's that journey in between? What are some of the challenges that come with that journey? What are some of the things that you need in order to overcome? How do you keep yourself focused? How do you keep going when you lose and you stumble? So that middle ground is just like an untapped resource, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people in regular
yeah,
everyday life live in that middle ground. People they're motivated, they're determined, they got plans, they're trying to make things happen, but they don't know how to overcome the challenges that happen along the way. So with my music, I try to keep it within that middle ground realm. Talk about like challenges, things that I got to overcome, things that I've seen, little tidbits, a little bit of advice that I could give here and there. But I'm also conscious that a lot of people don't listen to the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people like catchy beats and they like, you know, hooks that are easy to remember that they can sing along to. So I'm trying to find that perfect balance of giving people something that sounds pleasant to the ear, that's easy to digest, but after they listen to it two, three, four, 5 times, the message starts to sink in. And before they can even realize it, they've, equipped themselves with some of the tools they need to overcome things. You know what I'm saying? Like a great experience for me would be somebody that's like a fan of mine that listens to my music and is going through some kind of adversity in life. And then it kind of hits them like, oh, I remember hearing something like this on one of his tracks. Okay, I see. And it starts to resonate and it gives them what they need to get over that hurdle, to get over that next hurdle. You know what I'm saying? So that they can continue down the path. That's like, that's what I think about when I create because that's what I feel like I've made it. That's kind of what I've used music as throughout my life as like a motivational piece, something to kind of just help me push through. So I really want to give back to that aspect.
yeah. Okay. So I guess that's what you would describe soul rap that you do. That's what you would describe it as.
Yep, absolutely. It just, being as authentic as possible, trying to keep it as real as possible, being inspirational and learning how to use your stories to motivate yourself and to motivate others.
So I know on your single Unknowingly Alone, you experimented with this same subject matter. Was there a moment where you thought this might not work, but it ended up working for you?
Oh yeah. I always have those thoughts. Whenever I create anything, the first thought is just doing something that I feel like is natural. But then, as a professional, you want to make sure that what you create is something that others can accept. So there's always that thought in my mind that, well, am I doing too much? Am I not doing enough? Should I pivot from this way to that way? But I think what allows me to just put out the music and be okay with it is that throughout the creative process, I um I didn't cheat myself. So I didn't, just try
Yeah.
to put some stuff together because it sound good or talk about something because it's like a hot topic right now. Like I always try to structure each of my songs in a way that it's coming from a deeper place. And then, I have faith. I put it out there, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that the people that listen can get the message the way I put it out. That's not always the case. Um, you know what I'm saying? And those are always learning lessons, finding better ways to tell the story so that you can get that message across better.
Yeah.
But I don't worry so much about what I think people want to hear. If anything, I worry about how can I tell my story a better way.
So you lived in different environments, like you lived in Guyana, New York, Florida, and the Carolinas. How did that help you with your music, the different environments and experiences?
It just gave me more stories. Um, it gave me more stories. It exposed me to different things. Um, from a music standpoint, the different sounds and genres from these different areas. Um, it's
Yeah.
just been inspirational in the sense that I can hear how people can tell their stories in different ways. And it's allowed me to pull from here, pull from there, pull from there. You know what I'm saying? And kind of like mix it all together to create, like Marlo G. So I appreciate the fact that I move so much because it's allowed me to be more worldly. It's given me an ear that appreciates, like multiple types of things. I'm not like narrow minded or like shut in where I'm just like, oh, I only like this type. You know what I'm saying? It's allowed me to be like more open. And then that openness has allowed me to be kind of like you mentioned earlier, more vulnerable, but also show my strength and being like, I'm okay with putting this out. And it might not sound like what everybody else in the Carolinas sound right now, but it might have a little piece of Caribbean in it. It might have a little bit of New York in it. And somebody somewhere else might be able to listen to it and it means something more to them. You know what I'm saying? So just, I'm very appreciative
Yeah,
of the fact that
yeah.
I did because it just allowed me to see the world from a different perspective, and that's just kind of giving me, like insight and vision. You know what I'm saying? And like I mentioned, it, an ear. I've been able to like hear people tell their stories in different ways, and that's definitely motivated me and given me that battery in the back to be able to tell my story in my way and be okay with it.
So did you were born in Guyana and then you moved to the United States or
Yep. So I was born in Guyana. I lived there until I was about 10, and then we moved to New York
yeah,
City. And then we lived in New York City for about 4 or 5 years. I was still young. I was with my parents. And then we moved down to Florida. And I was there for a few years, and then I went off to college. And once I went off to school, I went to school in Alabama for a little bit. I was in North Carolina. And then once I graduated, I moved down to South Carolina. And I've been here ever since. So, and then outside of just like living in those places, I've also traveled, to like different states and like spent time in different areas and things like that. Um, I'm all about travel, man. I feel like when you don't travel, you limit yourself on what the world actually is. And the beautiful thing is, we have the internet, so you can do things without actually having to leave. But it's a little bit of a difference
yeah.
between watching over the phone and then like actually being there and feeling everything and experiencing it yourself. So I always try to encourage people to travel. Like it opens your mind. You know what I'm saying? It allows you to like realize that what your reality in this little area might be isn't the reality of the world. And then once you kind of like once that flip switches and that light bulb goes off, it kind of gives you not just perspective, but it allows you to like overcome things because it puts it into perspective that the issues that you might think are super huge on the grand scale of things are not, or things that you might feel like are impossible to overcome. Just being somewhere else might give you like a hint or the answer that you need and how to overcome it.
Great answer because I was thinking about a show I was watching, yeah, 2 days ago, World's Strictest Parents. So they would move trouble, kids giving trouble to their parents to parts in the West Indies, like from Australia and from the UK. And exactly what you're saying, that's what the kids found out, and they had a little more respect for their parents and how they had privileges that other parts of the world didn't have.
What's the name
So
of that show?
that's why I was at. It's World's Strictest Parents.
Check that out.
So yeah, they had kids go to Trinidad, Ghana, and Jamaica. So the culture was so different and everything that they miss their parents and they're like, oh, they realize what they have compared to other places and how people dealt with certain situation too. That they realized that they weren't handling certain things properly because they see other people having more hardship at dealing with the situation more. So that's when I saw that you lived in different areas. I figured you would adapt that kind of different viewpoint and handle things differently.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think traveling in general is just it's great for people, man. It gets you out of your comfort zone. It allows you to
Yeah,
world from a different angle, and it makes you realize that there's more that you can enjoy. There's more that you can aspire to. There's more that you can be. Um, and then kind of like you mentioned, sometimes your situation isn't as bad as you think it is. You know? And I mean, granted, the
yeah,
worst thing you've ever been through is the worst thing you've ever been through. And can't nobody like, put an amount on that. They can't be like, oh, well, the worst thing I've been through is this, and that's nothing compared to it. So you shouldn't feel like you're gonna feel terrible because it's the worst thing you've ever been through. But being able
does.
to travel and
Yes,
just like have that perspective, it gives you a chance to like sit back and reflect. And so a lot of times you leave out of those things feeling more appreciative for the stuff you've been through because of how it's allowed you to change and grow and evolve and all that type of stuff. So yeah, man, I'm a big, super huge component of traveling. And I'm not saying you got to do like international traveling, like go to the next town
yeah,
over, go to the next state over. You know what I'm saying? Like just go on a little weekend road trip and, something like just any little thing to kind of step out of
yeah,
your
exactly.
comfort, I think is super beneficial.
So you have a track called Box Chevy. That's one of your favorites.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite tracks right
So
there for
if
sure.
so, why is it one of your favorites? And if that song was in a film, what kind of film do you see it being in, and where do you see it playing in that film?
So that song, okay, I'm gonna answer the first one. Why is it one of my favorites? Because of the time period. Um, the song is about a previous relationship and like coming to terms with like it being over and like what that final stage of it is and just kind of like reflecting and appreciating everything about it. I think it means so much to me because during that phase of my life, I was going through so much emotionally. I didn't really know how to like deal with it. Um, and then with that particular relationship, it was a lot of like heartache. You know what I'm saying? Like we had separated like distance wise. And I was trying to come to terms with the fact that things just aren't going to be the same anymore. And what can I take out of that? How can I, like appreciate and honor this person for everything they've meant to me, even though I'm feeling sad that
Yeah,
it's over. It's like one of those
yeah, I
tracks where
get
I
it.
was just trying to like kind of like pay homage, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, just kind of be
Yeah,
like I'm good. And even though I wasn't really good, it was just kind of like, yo, I thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like I appreciate everything, that
yeah.
type of
You,
stuff.
you, you learn from it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So I think that would work good in like one of those. The first thing that came to mind as soon as you said that, you ever seen the movie what is it, Queen and Slim? Yeah, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like a like a love story almost, or you know what I'm saying, like something where you know
Yeah, I could see that.
like
Yeah,
love. Yeah, man. I think that's what it is because sometimes it's tragic. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we don't always get the happy ending, but that doesn't mean that we can't appreciate the journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's what that movie kind of represented is that it's the journey. Like, because we all know how it ended. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a happy ending. They didn't, happily ever after. From when they hopped in that car and decided to drive off from that police officer to the moment they got caught on that that airplane runway, it's just kind of like everything
yeah,
that they were to do in between then and how they were able to, in a sense, live a full life just through that experience and through that being able to like love and give love and just how much that meant. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times we take for granted those type of experiences because we always worried about like what it's gonna be like at the end. Kind of like what I was talking about earlier with the song. We like to talk about where we started and where we're gonna end up.
yeah,
Fox Chevy is that in between. Queen and Slim is that in between. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that was just like a perfect representation of that. And then that song was one of the few songs that it just like it literally came to me. Um, and not just in like the writing process, but when I went to record it, that was like a one take, like no mistakes, like no redos, no nothing. I was just able to like, you know what I'm saying? And just get it all out one
yeah,
take. It just I've I've had very few songs where
yeah.
I've just kind of like that out of body experience creating it. And Bob Chevy was definitely one of those. So that's why it's always one that I kind of go back to because the story behind it, the writing process, the recording process, like everything just felt like it was meant to be. So that's why that song like has a very special place in my heart.
Okay. I know you had mentioned before you'd love to collaborate with artists such as Styles P, J. Cole, Burna Boy, and Thames. But if you had to pick only one collaboration, who would it be and why?
It's a tough one, man. There's so many artists I appreciate. So many sounds. That's so tough. If I had to just pick one, I
Yeah,
would pick Rihanna. And the reason why I would pick Rihanna is because
yeah,
I feel like if I do a track with her, I would be able to show a side of me that I haven't really been able to show so far. I'll be able to kind of like dig in that like Caribbean, you know what I'm saying, like reggae bag a little bit more. Um, but also still be able to do like some of the crossover stuff like she does. I feel like we would have great chemistry, like on, like music wise. Um, and I
yeah,
just feel like what I would be able to like pull from working with her and creating a song with her would be like super beneficial for me like moving forward. I feel like it would open a new door for me and allow me to kind of like
yeah.
be in that bag a little bit more. So yeah, it would be like Rihanna. Rihanna would be number one, and then I think Tim's would be number two. The reason why I'm picking women is because I feel like I've done a lot of songs where I featured with guys. Um, Not so many
Yeah,
where I featured, and anytime I've worked with women, it's always been just like a little bit of a different experience, and I kind of want to lean into that a little bit more. Especially in this phase of life where
yeah.
everything is like soulful and I'm talking about the soul and I'm just trying to like, tell these stories and things like that. I definitely want to be able to like open myself up to new experiences and new ideas and things like that. So if I had to pick one, it would be Rihanna. I would pick
Can't go wrong with Riri.
Rihanna.
So you've hinted that you've been living a lot of life and have new stories to tell. Without giving too much, is there a central theme you feel your next project is gonna be based upon?
Just showing the evolution, um, growing up, um, overcoming more adult themed struggles, um, and more of like the mental battles and dealing with expectation. as you get older, and you become, more mature, you get more responsibilities. People are depending on you. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot that comes with that. Folks just think, oh, well, you got a good job, you're making good money, you buy a house, you buy a car, everything is good. But it's like with each new level you achieve, it's a new level of like stressors and problems that come with that. And when you're stepping up, everything is new. So how do you deal with these new challenges as they come? How can you use the tools that you got from the levels before? How do they translate to this new level? Figuring out how to position yourself, where to put things, where to invest your energy, all that type of stuff. That's what my new music
Yeah,
and this new direction that I'm going in is all about. It's just about like, okay, hey, I'm here. Anybody else that's here? Are you guys dealing with this? You guys having the trouble with this right here? You have to overcome this right here. Well, this is how I did it. These are the things that I'm struggling with. This is what I'm doing to overcome. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just trying to like talk to people, you know what I'm saying? And be like, hey, I'm right there with you. Like, let's do this together. Or I'm right there with you. This is what I'm using. See if it works for you too. That's the phase that I'm in right now. So it's like a whole new phase in life. I'm a little bit older. I'm in my 30s now. So I see things different. My thought process is different. And I really want my music to reflect that. And that's one thing I appreciate, man, about just being authentic. I never run out of stuff to talk about because it's like if I'm talking about my life and I'm living every day and I'm experiencing new things every day, like I always got something to talk
yeah,
about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's such a beautiful thing, man. I'm so blessed to have that perspective where I never feel like I always got to like keep my subject matter the same. I could kind of keep it within the same realm, but my stories are going to be different because my experiences are different. And I'm super happy that I'm able to share that, but I'm extremely happy that people hear it and it resonates with them. It helps them. It gives them something to get through the days. Or it might just be background music for them to do whatever they got to do. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm just happy that I'm able to put something out in the world and it have a positive effect on people.
keep it
And I
within.
think that's what it's all
Yeah.
about, man. Me, at least, that's what it's all about.
So, okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Who do you pick, DMX or Tupac, and why?
DMX, because in my coming of age years, that's when DMX was at the top of his game. So I was able to personally experience X effect. Tupac was always kind of like the past. I mean, I was young when he passed away, so
Yeah,
I didn't really get a chance to like grow up with his music. Now, I did listen to a lot of his stuff after the fact, and I have a very like a huge appreciation for Tupac and everything that he represented. But DMX was like, I was
yeah,
outside. DMX was doing what he was doing, so it resonates with me a little bit better. So yeah, I'm gonna pick X on
yeah,
that
we
one.
would. Yeah. Okay. So, is there anything else you want the viewers to know before we leave?
Oh yeah, so um, I'm working on new music. I got an EP I'm trying to put together. My goal is to have it out by November 2nd. That's my birthday. I normally like to put music out or any kind of like artistic work around that time because it's kind of like a thank you from me to the fans. Um, and then there's also,
Yeah,
good promotion because people are already, getting ready to wish me happy birthday. I'm just like, oh, hey, I got this out too. Go ahead and check it, check it out. So it's like double promotion.
yeah,
But I always like to
good
give back.
timing.
I like to get it like that. You know what I'm saying? I like to give back. So I'm working on some new music. I'm super excited about it, man. I've been, writing and creating and everything just feels like it's new, like it just feels different than it did before. And that's like super exciting, man. I got a lot of life stuff going on that I'm like super excited about. And it's all kind of like blending together. And so, yeah, man. So my goal is to have it out by November 2nd. I'm putting it out there. I'm putting that pressure on myself. I'm trying to get it done. You know what I'm saying? So I want people to look out for that. Y'all know y'all can follow me, on my social medias, or just search Marlo G wherever you listen to music at, just to kind of keep up to date with that type of stuff I got going on. But I'm excited about that. I got an addition to my family. I'm gonna have a son later on this year. It's gonna be my first son.
Congrats.
So thank you, man. I'm super duper excited about that as well.
Yeah,
Uh, You know what I'm saying? So I'm just in a
Should be.
yeah, I'm in a great space right now. Trials and tribulations
Yeah, I
all.
could talk.
I just feel happy, that I'm here and I've been able to like accomplish everything that I've been able to accomplish to this point. And I'm like, I feel like my foundation is strong. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is that I come into from here, until the next phase of my life, I feel like I have the wherewithal to be able to, withstand and face it head on, man. And I'm excited to share that with people, to give people that little bit of tidbit and a little bit of advice and tools that I'm using to hopefully it can help somebody else. And yeah, man, I just feel great right now from the standpoint of like what I've been able to overcome and where I've been able to get to. And, I just want the fans to, just continue to bear with me. For those that kind of been, holding me down and just kind of waiting around, man, I thank you. I do got some stuff on the way for you guys. And I'm hoping that this new version of me is something that you guys can resonate with. This new version of me is something that you guys can grab onto. I'm always looking to improve and give y'all better music, you know what I'm saying? Tell better stories, all that type of stuff. So yeah, just hang in there, man. November 2nd, something is gonna be coming out. It might not be the full EP. No, let me not say that. It's gonna be the full EP. I'm putting that out there right now. I'm gonna have that full EP for you, but I'm gonna have
Yeah.
something November 2nd. So we almost there, yeah. A month and a half away. Just stuck it out with me for a little longer, and we you know what I'm saying. And I got some new music, some new stories for y'all. Definitely.
All right. So the best of luck with that, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Best of luck to you too, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this.
No problem, man. Thanks for coming on. It was great